I thought a car accident had stolen my beloved wife, until I uncovered a secret from my own daughter, a secret that cast a shadow over her mother's death and forced me to ask, am I raising a little devil in an angel's disguise? Today, I have a story I want to tell you, one I believe will surprise you, perhaps even send shivers down your spine. It begins with a harsh truth. Sometimes, the person you trust the most holds the most terrifying secret, and sometimes, a young heart can hide a truth more devastating than any lie. Join me as I delve into my story, that of a man trapped in a tangled mess of love, pain, and unspoken secrets. A seemingly simple story, yet it hides haunting depths and an ending no one could ever anticipate. One thing I learned after all of it is this: the enemy of love isn't hatred, it's silence. Tonight, as my daughter, Lily, is fast asleep, the house is eerily quiet, leaving only me and the nameless waves churning in my chest. I wonder, have you ever felt like you're standing between two worlds? Two choices where no matter which path you take, it leads to a heartbreaking outcome. I will never blame anyone for the breakdown of this second marriage, because there is only one stark, painful truth. I loved two women deeply, but they couldn't or never wanted to love each other. And the tragedy began with that very truth. When I was 35, fate, like a cruel trickster, snatched away my first wife, the partner I believed would stay with me until the end of my life. A cruel car accident left me and Lily, my tiny 7-year-old daughter, adrift in this world. The void she left behind was unfillable. It haunted me every day, every hour. From a man who only knew how to bury himself in work, I suddenly became both father and mother to Lily. Every memory, every unfulfilled dream of mine and hers was condensed, relived in every breath of that little girl. Lily clung to me like a shadow. We lived in our own world, where her mother was still present through bedtime stories and faded old photos. Sometimes, I wondered if I was living a dual life, one foot in the present, the other still stuck in the past. The answer was yes, and that very fact laid the groundwork for the tragedy that followed. I vividly remember the long sleepless nights when Lily would suddenly wake up, calling for her mother in her dreams. Her muffled sobs tore through the silence, and I would hold her close, comforting her until she fell back asleep. At times like those, my heart ached. I promised myself I would make it all up to Lily, that I would be her strongest support. That's why the thought of bringing another woman into our lives once seemed a luxury, even a betrayal of my wife's memory. I thought I would live my entire life for my daughter, that I would be her whole world, and she would be my everything. We were a single entity, nothing could interfere. Then Sarah appeared. She came like a gentle breeze, soothing the wounds in my heart that I thought had hardened. Sarah didn't try to replace my wife's image, didn't try to fill the void she left. She was simply a woman who made me smile again after years of living in gloom. Her eyes sparkled with understanding. Her smile brought peace. She didn't demand, didn't pressure, just gently stepped into my life. Sarah was an art teacher at Lily's school, and that's how we met. She often asked me about Lily, about the difficulties I faced being both a father and a mother. Gradually, our conversations moved from school talks to coffee dates, then simple dinners. I felt like I was living again. She made me believe that even after losing half my soul, I still had the right to be happy, to love again. Love with Sarah came naturally, gently like a breath. I dreamed of a complete home, where past and present could coexist, where the memory of the deceased was cherished, and present happiness was nurtured. I believed I could keep both in the same house, a frighteningly naive belief. The day I proposed to Sarah, she cried. Her tears were not just happiness, but also fear, anxiety about the future. She said, I'm scared I can't do it. I'm scared the little one will hate me. Her fear was real. She understood that stepping into a family already burdened with pain and memories was a huge challenge. I held her tight, whispering reassurances, you can do it. I believe in you. And Lily? Lily will understand. She's an affectionate child. She'll accept you. At that moment, I truly believed what I said. I was wrong. My biggest mistake in life was underestimating the pain and possessiveness of a young heart. I thought love could heal everything, but I forgot that some scars never heal, and some heart doors have been permanently closed unconsciously, even intentionally. I was completely unprepared for how Lily would react. I had imagined some stubbornness, some childish sulking, but not the absolute, chilling, haunting rejection. Perhaps I was too focused on my own happiness and forgot that children are the most sensitive, and also the most deeply hurt. Lily, with the innocence and purity of a child, carried within her a stubbornness, an obsession with her deceased mother. something I never truly understood. I thought my love for her was enough, but perhaps that very love inadvertently turned her into an overly possessive person, unwilling to share anything that belonged to her, especially me. Our wedding day was simple and cozy. Lily was my little flower girl. She wore a pristine white dress, looking like an angel. But I still remember her eyes. They weren't joyful, even a little cold when Sarah tried to hold her hand at the altar. She pulled her hand back very quickly, as if touching something hot. At the time, I just thought she was shy. But looking back now, it was a premonition of everything that would happen later. Sarah was not a bad woman. She was even better than anyone I had ever known. She tried her best to be accepted, to integrate into our father-daughter world. Sarah patiently taught Lily, meticulously guiding her to draw colorful pictures. Even though Lily showed no interest, she personally prepared Lily's favorite foods, dishes her mother used to make for her. Sarah even spent hours searching for toys the little one longed for, limited edition comic books I could never find. She wanted to be a part of Lily's world, wanted to create new memories with her. I could see the effort in her every glance, every gesture, even the quiet despair when those efforts went unrewarded. But Lily was different. She had closed her heart as if it were locked by memories of her mother, by an invisible vow. Lily didn't fuss, didn't whine, didn't overtly yell or resist. She simply ignored Sarah's existence. Lily's silence and cold gaze were more terrifying than any words, for they showed an absolute rejection, an invisible but solid wall that nothing could shake. Lily was like an impregnable fortress, and the only key to open it was buried with her deceased mother. I vividly remember one afternoon. Sarah patiently braided Lily's hair. She meticulously selected each strand, weaving them into cute little braids, then adorned them with a butterfly-shaped bow Lily loved. When Sarah finished, she excitedly asked, "Lily, do you like it?" The little one just nodded slightly, her eyes still glued to the comic book in her hand. A heavy silence lingered. Then suddenly, Lily turned to me, saying in a clear but stony voice, loud enough for Sarah to hear, like a poisoned arrow shot straight into her heart, "Daddy, Mommy braided my hair much better. Mommy braided my hair long, down to my back, not short like this." Sarah froze. Her smile vanished. She said nothing, just quietly turned away, her shoulders slightly trembling. I saw her stand silently by the window for a long time, staring into the void, as if trying to hold back the tears that threatened to fall. My heart ached, but I didn't know what to do, what to say to soothe the pain Sarah was enduring. Or another time, Sarah bought Lily a beautiful princess dress for her birthday. She had spent a week searching and asking around to find the exact dress Lily wanted. A light pink one with sparkling sequins, just as Lily had dreamed. Sarah excitedly presented the gift, hoping for a smile, a thank you. But the little one just looked at the dress, then softly said, "I like the dress Mommy bought me more. That dress fit me better. And Mommy personally sewed on the patterns I liked." Those weren't the innocent words of a child. They were invisible knives, cutting into Sarah's heart, and mine too. Every time Lily called Sarah Miss Sarah, I saw Sarah quietly turn away, as if reminded of her unchangeable position in the little one's life. She wasn't a mother, and would never be Lily's mother. Every photo of my wife was still prominently displayed in Lily's room, and also in the living room. Sarah never complained. She even told me I should keep those photos. They were memories, a part of the family. But every time she walked past those photos, I saw her eyes heavy, as if she was looking at an invisible wall, an insurmountable boundary. Those photos weren't just memories. They were a constant reminder that she could never replace the deceased, could never become Lily's mother. I felt her helplessness, a desperate helplessness when all efforts became meaningless. I tried to bridge the gap between the two women I loved. I talked to Lily, explaining my love for Sarah, my desire for a complete family. I told her about Sarah's good qualities, how she had made me smile again, about the delicious meals, the evening conversations we had together. Lily just listened in silence, her big, round eyes staring at me blankly. She didn't react, didn't express emotion, as if I was talking about a complete stranger. I also talked to Sarah, advising her to be patient, that Lily was still young, that she would understand, that she just needed time to adapt to this immense change. Sarah only smiled sadly, that smile containing too much resignation and helplessness. She didn't want to make me uncomfortable, didn't want me to choose, but that very reluctance pushed us further apart. Gradually, our dinner times, once moments of togetherness, now became suffocatingly silent. The distance didn't come from arguments, but from the silence itself, from the invisible gaps between us. Sarah began to avoid Lily. She spent more time in her private study, or at school. She also began to avoid private conversations with me about Lily. Whenever I mentioned the little one, she would try to change the subject, or just nod slightly, her face showing clear signs of exhaustion. She no longer tried to cook Lily's favorite dishes, no longer proactively sought out toys or read stories to her. She still fulfilled her duties as a wife, taking care of me, managing the household, but the distance between her and Lily, as well as between her and me, grew wider each day. Our house transformed into a place with only 3 people, but it felt like 3 solitary islands, unable to connect. I felt like I was gradually losing both of the women I loved most. Our relationship didn't have earth-shattering arguments. There was no blatant betrayal, only a gradual, slow erosion that gnawed away at our love. Each of Sarah's attempts to connect went unreciprocated, and she withdrew a little more. She started staying up later, staring blankly out the bedroom window. I often saw the light in her room still on late into the night. She left home earlier, came home later, citing busy work at school, preparing for student art exhibitions. Some nights, I would hear her sigh in the dark, a mournful, heavy sigh. I knew she was hurting. I knew she was gradually giving up. That pain needed no words. It was present in her every gesture, her every weary glance. I felt helpless. I loved Sarah, but I also loved my daughter with all my life. I couldn't force Lily to accept a stepmother if she didn't want to, and I couldn't ask Sarah to endure the coldness, even the outright rejection from a child. I was caught between 2 women, between past and present, between love and responsibility. Each day that passed was a burden, a torment to my soul. The house I once dreamed of as a home had now become a prison, where I was trapped by my own emotions. One evening, after Lily had fallen soundly asleep, I checked on her carefully, ensuring she was truly in a deep sleep, breathing steadily. Sarah sat next to me on the bench on the back porch. The full moon cast long, distorted shadows across the garden. Crickets chirped incessantly in the night, interspersed with the rustling of wind through the leaves. She said nothing, just quietly gazed out at the backyard, where the jasmine tree I planted for my late wife was still blooming profusely, its fragrance sweet on the night air. The scent of jasmine, once a symbol of love and memory of my deceased wife, now became an invisible knife cutting into Sarah's heart. "I don't blame you, Jason." Her voice was soft, like a sigh in the night. "I know you tried very hard. I also tried my best. I tried everything. But Lily, she just won't accept me. I don't belong here. I feel like an outsider in my own home. I feel like I'm breaking your and Lily's happiness, even though I don't want to." My heart felt squeezed. I knew it. I understood it. I had seen it every day in her eyes, in her silence. But hearing her say it, it still cut a deep gash in my soul. I couldn't say anything. I didn't dare say anything. Because I understood. Sometimes, loving is enough. But staying isn't. There are loves not strong enough to overcome prejudices, unhealed pains, and the haunting memories of the past. Sarah's happiness was being suffocated in this very house, where she had tried to build something. Her presence, though meant to bring me happiness, was becoming a burden for all 3 of us. Sarah stood up. She went into the room, and I remained there, alone with the darkness and the silence. The pain of loss, regret, and helplessness engulfed me. But a moment later, I saw her return, holding an old diary. It was a small notebook with a pink cover, and on it, in messy pencil handwriting, "Lily's diary, my secret." I never knew Lily had a diary. She always seemed carefree, innocent, clinging to me like a little girl who needed protection. But it turned out, deep within that tiny soul lay a whole world I had never touched. A world full of complex emotions and even terrifying secrets. "I found this when I was tidying up Lily's room," she said, her voice hesitant, mixed with a hint of fear. "I didn't mean to read it, but when I saw that line, I thought you needed to know. I think something isn't right." She handed me the diary. My hands trembled as I took it. I opened the diary, flipping to the most recent pages. Lily's handwriting was larger, but still a little clumsy, shaky, like her unstable soul. I read, and each line was like a knife plunging straight into my heart, piercing through the peaceful facade I had deluded myself with. March 15th. Today Miss Sarah bought me another dress. The dress is beautiful, but I don't like it. I don't want her to buy me anything. I don't want her to do anything for me. I will never call her mom. Never. Mommy is my only one. Mommy promised to be with me forever. She's stealing my daddy, stealing my happiness. She shouldn't be here. I wish she would disappear. April 2nd. Daddy says I have to love Miss Sarah. Daddy doesn't understand. Mommy promised to be with me forever. She's a stranger. I don't want a stranger in my house. I hate her. I hate when she tries to touch me. She's not my mom. Daddy, you're not allowed to love her. You can only love Mommy. A chill ran down my spine. That wasn't just a child's stubbornness or jealousy. It was a frightening hostility, a terrifying possessiveness. And then, I read the last lines. The lines that sent shivers through my entire body. Pain mixed with horror, and a shudder about the daughter I once thought was innocent. It was a messy scrawl, as if Lily had written it in a moment of extreme anger or fear, or some despair I couldn't comprehend. May 10th, I don't want Miss Sarah here. I wish she would leave. Go far away, like the night my mommy left. I didn't call Daddy. I saw Mommy leave alone. Mommy said she would be gone for a very long time. I just wanted Mommy to stay with me. I didn't want Mommy to leave. I hid Mommy's phone so she couldn't call anyone. I wanted Mommy to stay with me. But then Mommy still left. And she will be the next one to leave. I'll do anything to make her go. She's not my mom. My hands trembled. The diary falling to the wooden floor, making a dry thud in the silent night. Everything in my head exploded. The night Lily's mother died. I received a call from the hospital informing me of her accident. Lily was sleeping at her grandmother's house at the time. I always thought it was a fated accident, an unavoidable one. But Lily's words, I didn't call Daddy. I saw Mommy leave alone. I hid Mommy's phone. What happened that night? Did Lily see something? Or did she deliberately do something to prevent her mother from leaving? And then, things spiraled out of control, leading to tragedy. Or were these just the thoughts of a traumatized child? A distorted interpretation caused by pain. Whatever it was, the truth was too horrifying. Sarah picked up the diary. She looked at me with eyes full of sorrow, but also a hint of horror. I'm sorry, Jason, she said softly, her voice trembling. I didn't mean to read it, but when I saw that line, I thought you needed to know. I think it's not as simple as we thought. There's something deeper with Lily. My heart pounded. Alarm bells ringing in my head. All of Lily's silence, her rejection, now suddenly became clear. It wasn't just missing her mother. It was a secret, a much deeper obsession. The little one was carrying a burden, a sense of guilt or some terrifying truth that I had never known, and that, not mere hatred, created the invisible wall between Lily and Sarah. Not only that, those lines also revealed a frightening control from a child. I couldn't say anything more to Sarah. My mind reeled with thoughts of that fateful night, of what my daughter might have witnessed or even done. The pain of losing my wife, the helplessness in my love for Sarah, now mingled with an overwhelming fear for my own little daughter. Could it be that my angel daughter was hiding a dark secret, and was Sarah's departure another curse from Lily, or simply an inevitable result of a heart too deeply hurt and possessive? I couldn't believe that my little daughter could have such terrifying thoughts, could commit such destructive acts. Sarah left on a Monday morning. That sunrise was a dreary, somber gray. No tears, no noisy luggage. She only left a handwritten note on the kitchen table, placed under a vase of fresh flowers I bought for her when we first got married. The vase was now withered and faded, just like our love. I had a complete love, a family. I shouldn't have intruded. Lily needs you, and only you. I hope you and Lily find peace. She didn't mention the diary. Perhaps that was the last secret she wanted to keep for me to confront on my own. She left to find peace for herself, and for me to face the harsh truth. I folded the note, putting it in the drawer where I used to keep my old wedding ring. Now, that drawer held the shattered pieces of 2 marriages, unfulfilled dreams, and unspoken secrets. Lily was still sleeping soundly in the next room. She didn't know that a woman had just left our lives. Or perhaps, she knew, and this was exactly what she had wished for all along. That morning, Lily woke up. She didn't ask about Sarah. She just looked at me, her big, round eyes clear, and I wondered, hidden deep within those eyes was innocence or a cold calculation I couldn't face Lily immediately. I needed time to process everything in my mind. I needed to find out the truth about that fateful night, about what my daughter might have witnessed or even done. The pain of losing Sarah was real, but the fear of Lily's secret was infinitely greater. I began to recall every small detail from the night my wife died. Who was the first person to discover the accident? Why didn't I receive a call from Lily? Where was Lily at that time? I decided to investigate myself. I secretly reviewed all the security cameras around the house, checked the call history of the landline and my wife's phone that night. I didn't dare ask Lily directly because I was afraid of touching a wound or a secret so immense that I couldn't face it. But the truth gradually revealed itself little by little, cruel and cold. I discovered that on the night my wife had the accident, Lily wasn't sleeping at her grandmother's house as I had thought. She had snuck home after a small argument with her grandmother, wanting to see her mother. I remembered my wife saying she was going to meet an important friend that evening, a meeting she didn't want me to know about. Perhaps that's why she left alone, late at night. That night, I waited for Lily to fall asleep. I gently entered her room, searching, and I found it. My wife's old phone, hidden deep inside an old toy box, under a soft velvet lining. It was hidden so well that without the clue in the diary, I would never have found it. My heart pounded, each beat wanting to leap out of my chest. I turned on the phone. The lock screen was still a smiling picture of my wife. I opened the call log. There was an incoming call from my number at the exact time of the accident, but it was unanswered, and an unheard voicemail. I pressed play. My wife's voice echoed, weak but full of fear, mixed with the whistling wind and the distant sound of car horns. "Honey, I've been in an accident. My car..." "Lily." I called her, but she didn't answer. "I'm sorry. I love you. Love, Lily. Tell her. I'm sorry." Tears streamed down my face. I turned to look at Lily sleeping soundly, her face still angelic and innocent, but now I couldn't look at her the same way. The confession in her diary, those cryptic lines, "I didn't call Daddy. I saw Mommy leave alone. I hid Mommy's phone. I just wanted Mommy to stay with me." Everything felt like a powerful blow to my mind. Lily knew. She had seen her mother have an accident, or at least had kept her mother's phone, preventing her from calling me or anyone else for help. Perhaps she simply wanted to keep her mother. An impulsive act of a child afraid of separation, unaware of the consequences. Or perhaps, deep within that young soul, there was a possessiveness, a selfishness so cruel, not wanting her mother to leave, even for a moment. It was because of that selfishness, that desire to keep her mother to herself, that she didn't act, didn't call for help, and ultimately led to the tragedy. That pain and regret had eaten deep into her soul, turning her into the wall separating Lily and Sarah. I didn't know what to do. The pain of losing my wife, the loss of Sarah, was now overshadowed by the fear and shock of my own daughter's secret. I used to think I understood her, but now I realized I understood nothing at all. The child I loved, my only daughter, could be the indirect cause of her mother's death and Sarah's departure. This truth was more painful than any betrayal. I spent many nights thinking, confronting this truth. I used to think I was a good father, a thoughtful husband, but now I felt like a complete failure. I failed to recognize my daughter's deep pain, failed to notice the warning signs, and allowed this tragedy to happen. Lily had lived in the shadow of that secret for all these years. Surely, she must have endured a terrible psychological burden. I knew I had to confront Lily, not to punish her, but to help her break free from that burden. I knew it would be difficult. Lily might cry, scream, deny, but I couldn't let her live forever in the shadow of guilt and fear. I had to be the father strong enough to face the past with my daughter. Our father-daughter life returned to its old routine, but now it was enveloped by a heavy atmosphere of unspoken things, unresolved secrets. I looked at Lily, my only daughter, and I wondered if she would ever share the burden in her heart with me, or would that secret forever be buried in her young but complex heart, becoming a ghost haunting both our lives. The pain of losing my wife, the loss of Sarah, was now overshadowed by the fear and shock of my own daughter's own secret. One afternoon, I decided to confront Lily. I sat down next to her as she was playing with toys in her room. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible. "Lily," I began, "Daddy has something to tell you." She looked up, her big, round eyes staring at me. There was a flicker of unease in her eyes, as if she sensed something unusual. "Daddy found your diary," I said, my voice slightly trembling. "And Daddy read it." Lily's face immediately contorted, her eyes widened, then quickly lowered, and she began to tremble. "Daddy, you're not supposed to read it," she whispered. Her voice choked. "I'm sorry, Lily," I said, placing my hand on her shoulder. But Daddy needed to know. You hid Mommy's phone the night she had the accident, didn't you? Lily was silent. She began to sob, bursts of tears escaping. Daddy, I'm sorry, she said between sobs. I didn't want Mommy to go. Mommy promised to be with me. Mommy said she would be gone for a very long time. I was afraid Mommy would leave me forever. I just wanted Mommy to stay with me. I hugged her tightly. My own tears began to fall. A sense of pain, regret, and relief washed over me all at once. Lily had lived with that obsession, with that burden all these years. Daddy understands. Lily, I said, patting her back. Daddy knows you love Mommy very much. Daddy knows you were very scared. Daddy doesn't blame you. You were just a child. You didn't mean to, did you? Lily nodded furiously, tears streaming down her face. I didn't want Mommy to die. I didn't want her to. I just wanted Mommy to stay with me. I was there, holding her, listening to everything she had kept hidden in her heart for so long. Lily recounted that fateful night, how she had snuck home after arguing with her grandmother because she didn't want to sleep there. She had seen her mother preparing to leave. She was scared, clinging to her mother, begging her not to go. But my wife, for some reason, decided to leave anyway. In desperation and fear of abandonment, Lily snatched her mother's phone, hid it, hoping that it would prevent her mother from leaving. But then, my wife still drove away, and the accident happened. Lily had run to the gate, saw the phone fall, and she kept it as proof of her selfish act. She thought that very act had caused her mother's death. The fear and guilt had eaten deep into Lily's soul, turning her into a different person, someone who always lived in possessiveness, not wanting anyone else to interfere in the relationship between me and her. That's why she didn't accept Sarah, because in her young mind, Sarah was a threat, someone who would steal me away, just like she had unintentionally stolen her mother from herself. After that night, everything began to change. Lily still had deep psychological scars, but she began to open up more to me. We started seeing a child psychologist who helped Lily confront her pain, her regret, and learn to forgive herself. Lily also gradually learned to let go of her obsession with her deceased mother and accept that her mother would always be in her heart, even if she was no longer physically present. Life still holds many challenges ahead. I still remember Sarah and what we shared. I know that Sarah's departure was necessary for all three of us at that time. I also realized that I inadvertently pushed Sarah into an untenable situation because I couldn't fully understand my daughter's heart. Now, Lily and I are slowly rebuilding our lives. The house is no longer a hauntingly silent place. Lily's laughter has returned, though sometimes it still carries a hint of sadness. I know that the wounds will never fully heal, but we are learning to live with those scars and learning to mend the broken pieces of our souls. I also wrote a letter to Sarah telling her everything I had discovered and thanking her for bravely facing the truth and helping me uncover this secret. I hope that one day she will read that letter and find peace for herself. Perhaps not everyone can become family just by living under the same roof, and sometimes the love between adults must give way to a child's unhealed pain. But there's another truth, a more devastating one sometimes. A child's pain and possessiveness can lead to unforeseen consequences, to secrets that haunt an entire life. And I, a father, must now face a harsh reality that my daughter, my little angel, was inadvertently a part of that tragedy. But more importantly, I've found the truth, and I will be the father strong enough to go through everything with her, so she can live a more complete life. That is my promise, and my only hope. This is Jason's story, a man who lost two loves, and is now trying to heal himself and his daughter after confronting a terrible secret. What do you think about this story? Can Jason help Lily overcome this haunting past? And you, if you were Jason, what would you do to face this truth and help your daughter find peace? Leave your comments below. Share your thoughts and feelings about this story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on other compelling and dramatic stories. Thank you for listening.